There are currently 8 people on hunger strike in British prisons, all of them detained for many months without ever having been found guilty of a single crime. All have been denied bail for their alleged involvement in Palestine Action raids, either on an arms factory owned by Elbit Systems, that's Israel's largest weapons company, or RAF Bryce Norton, where 2 refueler planes were spray painted. Kessa Zara, Amu Gib and Heba Muraisi have now been on hunger strike for over 35 days. John Kink Tutahocha and Kamran Ahmed haven't eaten for over 30 days. And Luis Chiaramello has been on strike for 16 days, with Mohamed Umer Khaled joining the action 6 days ago. 5 of the detainees have so far been hospitalised for a period during what is the largest coordinated hunger strike in British prisons since 1981. And of course, that was the year that Bobby Sands and 9 other Irish Republican prisoners died of starvation in a prolonged protest demanding they be recognised as political prisoners. None of the 8 on hunger strike have been charged with terror offences, as their alleged offences all took place before the more recent ban on Palestine Action, but all have complained of arbitrary and demeaning treatment since that prescription came into force. This includes orders stopping them from associating with each other, their removal from employment and education programs, and the confiscation of their kefirs. Remember, none of these people have been convicted of anything. Instead, they have been on prolonged remand, repeatedly denied bail while awaiting trial. Last night, Independent MP and your party co-founder, Jeremy Corbyn, went to visit the hunger strikers at Bronzefield Prison in Surrey, where he described what condition he found the hunger strikers in.
They were very focused, very clear, very understanding of the situation, and I thought in surprisingly positive frame of mind for people that have been through what they've been through for so long. And I found the visit fascinating and uplifting. The sense of the human spirit comes through, that principle. They do not want to be part of the genocide that the people of Palestine are going through, and that's why they're in prison at the present time. What impressed me more than anything is the principles, the determination to try and do something to stop the disgusting sale of arms to Israel, the manufacture of weapons in Britain which have been used to help Israel achieve the genocide it has in Gaza. And I have a lot of respect for them. And they're taking hunger strike action in order to draw attention to the fact that they are remand prisoners. They're not guilty of anything. They haven't been convicted of anything. They're remand prisoners. Yet the trial date is now set for January 2027. That is 14 months on from now. For people who have a case they want to answer, they want their day in court, obviously, and they'll get that. But why are they in prison at all? They could quite easily be released on remand, and that is one of the requests they've been making. It's a form of protest that people take in prison because, in a sense, it's the last thing they've got. To say, the only thing I've got left in prison is my body, and therefore I will say to you that I'm prepared to damage my own body in order to support the cause that they are campaigning for.
Corbyn also had a message for the media.
There's something quite odd and interesting about this. A number of prisoners taking hunger strike action in this prison gets hardly any coverage on the mainstream media in this country. Now, what has happened to the principle of fearless investigative reporting by the British media? Why can't they report this case? Why can't they make a comment about the unusual nature of being held all this time on remand with apparently little prospect that will be released ahead of the trial date, which, as I said, is 14 months away? What's happened to our media? The so-called liberal establishment, I think, is just buttoning down on this and saying that because of the ban on Palestine Action, somehow or other they're going to take special pleasure in ensuring these prisoners remain in prison until the trial date. And I discussed with the issue of supply of books and all the sort of petty regulations that go on in prisons. If a prisoner is on remand, then normally they're treated very differently to a convicted prisoner. They've been convicted of nothing.
On Monday, the hunger strikers were also visited by Your Party co-founder Zara Sultana and Labour MP John McDonnell. They've also been frequently visited by loved ones like Nida, who described what impact the hunger strike was having on her friend Amu Gib.
So firstly, hunger striking is an incredibly legitimate form of protest that Britain is just not used to, and that's why this has been the biggest hunger strike since the 1981 in British prisons. For the first 10 days, you get these painful pangs, and your stomach kind of hurts, your ketones go high. By the time it's day 30, which my friends are way beyond, we've entered the second month of the hunger strike, their joints are now at a point where it's done irreversible damage to their joints. There are sort of health statistics here that will never recover. Like, they've harmed their bodies permanently.
The strikers are making several demands, including immediate bail, an end to the censorship of their communications and the de-proscription of Palestine Action. And the hunger strike is part of a larger campaign in which 40 MPs have now signed an early day motion expressing concern over the action. Constituency MPs for the hunger striking prisoners have also written to Justice Secretary David Lammy about their cases. But earlier this week, he appeared not to know.
There's been 4 weeks of hunger strikes. Why have you said nothing? Why have you said nothing?
My name is Shamina. I'm the sister of one of the hunger strikers. We have been waiting to respond and the Minister of Justice to respond. There's 7 hunger strikers in the UK right now. They have time to do us. We've got the letter for you. We've been waiting for a response. My brother is on now day 25. I know. They wrote to you about October, end of October. Joanna has been written to as well, and the Ministry of Justice. Been hospitalised 5 times. Come on, David, let's go. And we're in the UK.
I don't know anything about this. I mean, that's really not an excuse. Like, he's the Justice Secretary. If there are people on hunger strike in protest, the largest hunger strike since the 80s, he should know about it. But he doesn't. Or, I mean, that's probably more just an excuse because he doesn't want to talk about it. Dr. James Smith, an NHS doctor who's been supporting the families of the hunger strikers, told The Observer, quote, "This is a trajectory that ends with death." And he went on to describe inadequate care in the prison, saying this: "I'm most concerned about the substandard treatment in the prison system. If someone's on a hunger strike, the obvious thing is that they need to be weighed every single day. From the information I'm receiving from the families, it doesn't appear to me that there has been, for most of them, a single day in which they have had a full set of their observations taken. Heart rate, blood pressure, blood sugar levels, proper weights. It can't be overstated that they've not been convicted of anything." Let me just say that again. None of those involved in the strike have been convicted of anything. Of course, a reminder, Palestine Action is now a prescribed organisation under British anti-terrorism law. That's the first domestic direct action group to have been banned in this country. That means expressing support for the group is a criminal offence under terror law. But it's legal to say this: the ban on Palestine Action is fundamentally wrong. Detaining people without trial for months and years for non-violent action is wrong. And this hunger strike, just like everything else to do with Israel and Palestine, it should be a stain on the record of this Labour government.